Okay, so today we're going deep on this interview with James Liang.
James Liang.
Yeah, you know,
Oh, of Tree Trip.
yeah, the co-founder of Tree Trip.
Right.
And in case you haven't heard of it,
Big travel company.
yeah, it's a huge travel company in China.
Yeah.
But this is not your typical, like, business interview, you know, where someone's talking about how they, made it to the top or whatever.
Right.
This one gets into some really interesting stuff, like we're talking about AI and innovation, his personal experience with, like, work-life balance, and even his advocacy for changes in China's birth policies.
Yeah, the range of topics is really fascinating. You get a sense that he's like a real, what's the word?
Yeah.
Not just a typical CEO,
Right.
but a thinker, you know?
Yeah.
Like someone who's really grappling with these big questions
Absolutely.
about like the future of technology, work,
Yeah.
even society.
Totally, yeah. And I have to admit, like, when I first saw this interview, I was kind of like,
Okay.
Maybe
Other
this
than, tech CEO talking about disruption
exactly.
and blah, blah, blah.
He really surprised me. He's a really deep thinker. Like, I was really impressed.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really struck me, and I know it struck you too, was how he connects his academic research to his business practices.
Yeah, it's not every day you see a CEO using your company as like a test lab for their theories.
Right.
Especially when it comes to like work from home policies, which are kind of, controversial.
Right. And it's not just random. Like, like he's actually...
They're based on research.
Yeah. It's like his research actually shows that these policies can actually boost productivity and employee satisfaction.
Which makes you wonder why more companies aren't doing this.
Right. It's like, why are we all, still stuck in this, like, 9 to 5?
I think there's a lot of resistance to change, especially in those like traditional corporate cultures, where there's this ingrained belief that face time in the office is like essential,
Right.
even though, more and more evidence suggests that it's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Liang's challenging that whole notion, He's created this whole family-friendly atmosphere at C-Trip,
Right.
where, like, employees' kids are welcome in the office.
I love that.
Flexible work arrangements are, like, the norm.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying you can be successful and still prioritize family. You don't have to choose.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
Yeah.
And it makes you think maybe that's, like, a big part of why he's so passionate about addressing China's, like, declining birth rate.
Yeah.
Because he sees, like, how difficult it is.
He sees it firsthand.
Yeah.
How hard it is for young people
Yeah.
to balance those things.
Totally.
And he's trying to create a system that actually supports both.
Right. It's not just about throwing money at the problem, with financial incentives or whatever. It's like a cultural shift, right?
Absolutely.
Where having children isn't seen as a burden
Yeah.
or a career killer,
It's a huge shift in mindset.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to, like, get into some pretty controversial stuff too. Like,
Right.
he talks about the need to challenge traditional gender roles.
Oh, yeah.
Create a society where men and women can equally participate
Right.
in both the workforce and family life.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. He even talks about, like, the influence of older generations and how their expectations can sometimes hold young people back.
Interesting.
It's like he's calling for a whole societal transformation, not just like a few policy tweaks.
Cool. Big vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just talk, He's actually implemented these ideas at C-Trip.
Right. Remember that scene in the interview where he takes the interviewer to that, like, bustling office
Oh, yeah.
filled with children?
Yeah. It was amazing.
It was like the opposite of that, like sterile corporate environment
Yeah.
we're all used to seeing.
Totally.
It's like, wow, this is a different kind of workplace.
Exactly. And it really gives you a sense of his commitment to, like, walking the talk.
Right. Actions speak louder than words, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what makes him such a compelling figure. He's not just a successful businessman.
Right.
He's a thought leader who's using his platform to advocate for change.
Yeah.
He's putting his ideas into action, showing the world that a different way is possible.
Inspiring stuff.
Yeah, totally. So we've got this, like, incredibly successful tech entrepreneur who's also a researcher, a family man, a social advocate.
It's like he's living multiple lives.
Yeah, right. Like, how does he do it all?
I know.
But then there's another layer to this whole thing.
What's that?
His fascination with Siberian tigers.
Tigers.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I know, right?
Where did that come from?
It's like out of left field.
Totally.
So there's this point in the interview where he takes the interviewer to this wildlife park to see these tigers.
Okay.
And he's like clearly enthralled by these animals, you know?
He's like a little kid.
Yeah, he gets super excited about the park's design,
Huh.
which allows visitors to get these like incredible up-close views
Oh, cool.
of the tiger.
I mean, that's pretty amazing
Yeah, right.
to see a tiger up close.
So it's like you've got this guy who's all about innovation and technology,
Right.
and then suddenly he's like captivated by these magnificent creatures.
In their natural habitat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the connection is there.
Yeah, me too. It's like, what is it about these tigers that resonates with him?
Yeah.
You know?
Like maybe he sees something in them like that reflects his own drive to create,
Yeah, made
to build.
Yeah.
You know, tigers are pretty powerful creatures.
Yeah, they're like these apex predators.
They've survived in some of the toughest environments
Yeah.
on Earth, and they're beautiful too.
Right. They have this like incredible grace,
Yeah.
even though they're fierce hunters.
Yeah, so maybe Liang sees some kind of parallel
Yeah.
between like the elegance of nature and the potential for technology
Yeah.
to be both powerful and beautiful.
Right. Like innovation doesn't have to come at the expense of nature.
Exactly.
Right. We can create amazing things and still respect and appreciate, you know,
The world around us.
the world around us. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to like another fascinating aspect of his thinking, his perspective on artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So, you know, you might think that like a tech CEO would be all gun-ho about AI,
Yeah, all in.
but his approach is way more nuanced.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he definitely acknowledges the potential risks, but he also sees AI as this like incredible opportunity
Isn't it?
to learn more about ourselves.
Huh?
It's almost like he views it as a mirror, you know, reflecting back
Okay.
the complexities of the human mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's not just interested in the practical applications. He's
Mhm.
fascinated by like the philosophical implications.
Right.
He sees AI's ability to like mimic human thought as a testament to just how complex and awe-inspiring our brains really are.
Yeah. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Like we created these machines that can like think for themselves.
In a way.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder like what does that say about us?
Right. What does it mean to be human?
Exactly. And he makes this really interesting point.
The-
He says that like what sets us apart from machines is this like innate drive
Okay.
for self-preservation and innovation.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of like built-in curiosity that drives us to create and explore.
Right. We're constantly pushing the boundaries
Yeah,
of what's possible.
totally. But then he raises this really thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
What happens if we start imbuing AI with those same traits?
Oh, wow.
Right? Like what are the ethical implications of creating machines
Right.
that can think for themselves, that have their own desires and fears?
That's like straight out of science fiction.
Yeah, right. But it's becoming increasingly relevant as AI technology advances.
Absolutely.
Should-
We're getting closer and closer to that reality.
Yeah. And Liang's right at the forefront of that conversation.
He's not shying away from the tough questions.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's really grappling with them.
Yeah. It's impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's like he's not just building the future.
Right.
He's thinking about what that future will look like
Right. What it means for all of us.
and what it means for humanity.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to find a balance, you know,
Between what?
between the incredible potential of technology
Huh.
and the need to preserve what makes us human.
That's a tough balance to strike.
Yeah, it is. So you're probably wondering, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, where do we go? We've got this, like, picture of James Liang as this, like, multifaceted innovator.
Yeah,
But how do all these pieces fit together?
right. And that's where we need to dive a little deeper into his work
Okay.
and really unpack his ideas.
Sounds good.
We'll be back in a moment to explore how his research on work-life balance ties into his views on China's demographic challenges and the future of work itself.
Looking forward to it. So before the break, we were getting into Liang's ideas about work-life balance at C-Trip.
Yeah, how he's using his company as like this real-world test lab.
It's pretty wild to think about
Right.
a CEO actually putting his research into practice.
Yeah, and not just like on a small scale.
Right, this is company-wide.
Yeah.
With real employees, real families.
Totally. And the results seem pretty impressive, right?
Oh yeah, he's found that these flexible arrangements can actually boost productivity and employee satisfaction.
It's like a win-win for everyone.
Exactly, so why aren't more companies doing this?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
I mean, I think part of it is fear.
Fear.
Yeah, fear of change.
Oh.
Fear of losing control.
Right.
There's this deep-seated belief that if you can't see your employees, if they're not physically there, they're not really working.
Yeah, that old school mentality.
Yeah, but Liang's research is challenging that.
Yeah.
It's not just like, trust me, this will work. He's got the data to back it up.
Right.
He's showing that people can be just as productive.
If not more.
Yeah, even more so.
Right.
When they have the flexibility to manage their own time and work from wherever they need to be.
It makes you wonder if this whole obsession with FaceTime is, like, totally outdated.
Yeah, like a relic of the past.
Yeah, back when the only way to collaborate was to be physically present.
But technology's changed all that.
Right, we can connect with anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Exactly. So why are we still clinging to these old ways of working?
It's like we're afraid to let go of the past.
Even though it's not working anymore?
And Liang's showing us that there's a better way.
A way that benefits everyone.
Yeah, companies and employees.
Totally. And it's not just about productivity.
Right.
It's about creating a workplace that values families. That recognizes people have lives outside of work.
Right, yeah.
Remember that scene where he takes the interviewer to the C-Trip office?
Oh, yeah, with all the kids.
It was amazing.
It was like a totally different world.
Kids running around, playing games, doing their homework.
Yeah, it felt so relaxed and happy.
It was like a community center, not a corporate office.
Totally, and I think that image really speaks to his commitment to, like, changing the culture around work.
Absolutely, and it ties into his passion for addressing China's declining birth rate.
Yeah, he sees how hard it is for young people to balance work and family.
And he's trying to create a system that supports both.
Right, not just throwing money at the problem.
It's about a fundamental shift in mindset.
Exactly. Having children shouldn't be seen as a burden.
Or a career killer.
And he's not afraid to challenge those traditional gender roles.
Yeah, he talks about creating a society where men and women can equally participate in both work and family.
That's a big vision.
It is, and it's a global issue, not just a China issue.
Right. Countries all over the world are facing these same challenges.
Declining birth rates, aging populations.
And Liang's ideas offer a potential solution.
A way to create a future where work and family are no longer seen as competing forces.
But as complementary parts of a fulfilling life.
It's a future where innovation and technology are used to create a better world for everyone.
Not just a select few.
Exactly.
But Liang's not just some idealistic dreamer.
Right. He's grounded in reality.
He understands the complexities of China's situation.
The economic pressures facing young people.
And he's not afraid to talk about the hard stuff.
The high costs of housing, education, the pressure to succeed.
Yeah, all of that.
But he's not just complaining.
Right.
He's actively looking for solutions.
Advocating for policy changes, investing in research.
Using his platform to raise awareness.
And he's doing it all with this incredible sense of optimism.
Yeah, a belief that we can create a better future if we're willing to challenge the status quo.
To think differently.
Exactly.
So we've talked about work-life balance, China's demographic challenges, Liang's vision for the future.
But there's still that one piece of the puzzle.
The tigers.
Yeah, the tigers. What was that all about?
I know, it seemed like such a random detour.
Totally out of left field.
But I think there's something really interesting in that juxtaposition.
What do you mean?
This tech CEO, immersed in the digital world,
Right.
but deeply drawn to these creatures in their natural habitat.
Maybe he's recognizing the limits of technology.
Yeah, like there's something about our connection to nature that can't be replicated digitally.
It's like he's saying we need both.
Right.
The digital and the natural.
And I think that's what makes Liang such a unique thinker.
He's comfortable with complexity.
He doesn't try to force everything into neat little boxes.
He embraces the messiness of the real world.
And that brings us back to his fascination with AI.
Right, it's not just about the technology itself.
It's about what AI can teach us about ourselves.
But what it means to be human.
And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
it's about finding a way to create a future where technology and nature can coexist.
Where innovation and compassion go hand in hand.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
And it leaves us with a lot to think about as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of James Lang. So we've really gone deep on James Lang.
Yeah, his ideas are pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, from like those work-life balance policies at C-Trip to like his whole vision for dealing with China's declining birth rate.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is how he brings it all together, you know,
Yeah.
like technology, business, social policy.
Even those Siberian tigers.
Yeah, the tigers.
What a curveball.
But it's like he's showing us how everything is connected. The choices we make in one area of life can have a ripple effect on everything else.
It's all intertwined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to his belief in innovation.
Right.
Like that's the driving force.
Yeah, the key to solving all these problems.
But it's not just about new gadgets or, you know, fancy tech.
Right.
It's about finding new ways to connect with each other.
To build a better future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remember how he talked about the satisfaction of creating something unique?
Something that inspires others.
Yeah, like innovation isn't just about personal achievement. It's about making a positive impact.
Leaving the world a better place.
Yeah, and I think there's a really important lesson there for all of us.
What's that?
You don't have to be a CEO or a researcher to make a difference.
Oh, okay.
We can all be innovators in our own way.
In our own little corner of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
It could be something small, you know?
Like what?
Like, I don't know, a new way to organize your workday.
Uh-huh.
Or like a creative solution to a problem at home.
Okay.
Maybe you start a community garden.
Yeah.
Volunteer at a school.
Right, or even just having a conversation with someone who has a different perspective.
Totally.
Yeah, those little things can make a big difference.
The point is, innovation doesn't have to be this big, flashy thing.
Right. It can be subtle, but still impactful.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into James Lang,
It's been quite a journey.
it has,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with this question.
Okay, shoot.
What will you create?
Good question.
What spark of innovation will you bring to the world? What legacy will you leave behind?
Something to ponder?
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
Explore it. Let your imagination run wild.
The world needs our unique contributions.
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
Because who knows, maybe someday we'll be doing a deep dive into your story.
That would be something.
It would.
Yeah.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.